top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on. somehow.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, I know you've heard that theme song, and I am certain that you will also know that it's time for me to say greetings to the world. Time for another edition of Straight Talk. A matter of fact, I should say it's long past the time for another edition of Straight Talk. You know, I've been looking at the clock and didn't even recognize that the clock has gone past me. So that's my bad, and I do humbly apologize. But let me say greetings to the world. As a matter of fact, let me say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis, because we are reaching and communicating with you from right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the wonderful federation of two beautiful islands and one lovely paradise. So let me say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region. And as I said before, greetings to the world, because we are on the World Wide Web, and we reach and we communicate with you all over the globe, in the diaspora, Kittitian and Division, and Caribbean diaspora. Some of you we know are in Africa. There's some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I am at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. Perhaps, my Straight Talk family, you do have some real reason to be in that region. I know that most of you live in the region. But if you are joining me for the first time, and I normally have first-timers, so I want to inform you, and I thank those who continue to share the link, but I want to inform you, the first-timers, that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national, regional, and international issues, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. On this program, we try as well to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness, I should say. And we try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And my Straight Dog family, as your host, I always hasten to pledge that I'm an untiring advocate of truthfulness. And I love that excerpt from a favorite hymn of mine, which I normally like to read, and which goes something like this: we are all called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and for the right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing all those evil things to light. So let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill, that we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will. Having said that, my Straight Dog family, I can also say that on this program, absolutely nothing is watered down. We never ever tried to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We're not about sensationalism. We're not about trying to create excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy, because we lean on the facts, and it is my duty to always present what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, throughout the Caribbean, throughout the diaspora, throughout the world, because we are joined together with people across the Federation, and we are joined together with the people in the diaspora all around the world. Some we know, some we have met, some we may never ever meet physically, though we meet spiritually on so many occasions. But we entertain what I call diverse views, because we are a different people. But what will sadden me is if we ever start to become disagreeable. So in the meanwhile, let's thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, and let's always understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. So let us live a hope and pray for that day when we will all sing His wonderful praise together. So welcome again, my people. Thanks to those who share the link. As you bring first-timers, like I said, please continue to do so. I must always remind you, especially the first-timers, that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls at some stage in the program, and we include your emails. And if you're so minded calling, then the numbers are on your screens. If you like what I call the cloak of anonymity, then my Straight Dog family, that email address for my email platform is also on your screens. And I may add as well, how can I forget that we are also accessible via Alexa. Those who have that Alexa app. Just remember, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio, and then you are tuned right in to Straight Talk, my family. Some of you have also made donations, and we are grateful for that. And I must continue to reassure you that whatever the size of your donation, we are grateful for it. It helps us to defray some costs. This is a public service, and it helps us to continue that public service. So we are always grateful. So those who want to continue to make donations, or to start rather, there's a code on your screen. Just scan it. Very simple process, very confidential process, and you will follow the instructions. And this, as I said, helps us to keep the dialogue alive. I must always say a special welcome to the Straight Talk Brigade, Young Brigade that is. Jasmine, Young Dwayne, Tristan, Shama, Kevin, Rue, Travis, Travon, my grandson Neymar, and Saraya. Elizabeth is new. Haven't heard from that special lady for some time. Just all is well. But we normally have our observations in review as well, my Straight Talk family. And we highlight some current issues. And we move right into our observations, after which we will move to our thesis, which I have titled for tonight, Our Land, Our Legacy. And I'm asking the pointing question, time for another uprising? What do you think? Tell me about it when I open the lines. But our first observation, my Straight Talk family, comes from the St. Kitts National Trust. And I saw a release from the National Trust, which is self-explanatory, and I'll find it just now for you, yes, and put it on your screens. But this release came from the National Trust just a few days ago, my Straight Dog family. And yes, you can see it now. And this release, as I said, is self-explanatory, and it reads in part that the St. Christopher National Trust has expressed concern regarding recent activities at the historic Fort Thomas site, including the groundbreaking of the proposed Symbol of Love monument and museum on the 13th of October, which proceeded without prior consultation with the trust. Without consultation with the trust. And the St. Christopher National Trust has a very important role to play. And I'm sure many of you know about that. St. Christopher National Trust was established by or through legislation, the St. Christopher National Trust Act of 2009. And it stipulates that the trust shall from time to time advise and where necessary lobby the government of St. Christopher and Nevis on matters concerned with the objects of the trust that may be affected by public policy and B, areas that have been designated or are to be designated as trust property, and the policy to be pursued for the preservation of the property and the means of enforcing that policy, and matters that the trust is desirous of promoting or supporting. The trust, as well as its functions outlined in the law, and they are pellucid. But we saw this groundbreaking ceremony a few days ago in relation to some symbol of love that is going to be located there, and we were taken aback, my Straight Talk family. At least Straight Talk was taken aback when we saw this as well.
St. Kitts and Nevis has launched a landmark project that will redefine tourism and heritage. The Symbol of Love Monument and Museum. A U.S. $30 million investment is transforming the historic Fort Thomas site into a cultural jewel, with 2 museums, botanical gardens, restaurants, souvenir shops, and a jetty opening to the Caribbean Sea. But this is more than construction. It's rebirth, where history, unity, and love come together to shape a brighter future. The project's 2 museums will share our regional story, from resilience to renaissance, and highlight the Commonwealth's global connection. Every element, from the white marble monument to the panoramic sea views, reflects our values of love, unity, and progress. During construction, hundreds of jobs are being created, and once complete, it will open new paths in tourism, retail, and culture, empowering local families and entrepreneurs. An archaeology team will preserve every artifact discovered, ensuring our story lives on for generations. Because this isn't just for visitors, it's for students, teachers, and future leaders to know their roots. When complete, the Symbol of Love Monument and Museum will make St. Kitts and Nevis the Caribbean's premier wedding and cultural destination. Here, every love story will have a home.
Very interesting, my Straight Talk family. And I must add as well that there's a schedule to the act which lists the sites, I may add, that fall under the custodianship, if that's a word, of the St. Christopher National Trust. I don't believe that this schedule has been updated, though. I stand to be corrected. It speaks to National Museum, that's down at the Old Treasury. There's a Mukti Research and Documentation Center, Spooner's Ginnery, Belmont Estate, the property at Charles Fort there in Sandy Point. Doesn't say the Fort Thomas, though, quite strange, and the Brimstone Hill National Park. But perhaps someone will update me on that. Maybe my research is not up to date. But the fact is, though, my Straight Talk family, heritage is not just about old buildings. It's about identity, memory, culture, community, and cohesion. And what you just saw in that video is nothing related to our own memory, our culture, our identity. And let me say happy Diwali Day to my Indian friends who are with us tonight. Forgot to mention that. But the trust helps to ensure that future generations know and value their past. And surely what we are seeing at Fort Thomas is entirely opposite to that objective. We asked the question, and we're asking the question as well, because that particular contractor worked for the new High Commissioner in Mumbai, Dev Bhatt, and he got a Rolex watch as a present. That's the same contractor on the museum, and you recognize that Terence Drew like museums. He's fall in love with museums. So we want to know if the High Commissioner has any relationship or any sort of business to do with this museum, $30 million museum. But all these things we are investigating, and Straight Talk will keep you up to date. But always remember too that heritage sites are important because they are catalysts for community development. They can provide local employment for restoration, for tourism, and the broader sustainable development goals. But the trust also plays a central role, as I said, in safeguarding the heritage identity of St. Kitts and Nevis, preserving historic forts like Charles Fort, the old Treasury Building, the Brimstone Hill National Park, which is a UNESCO heritage site, and the old Treasury Building, which houses the museum, and other sites as well, my Straight Talk family. But hear this, and sure you will agree, the Terence Michael Drew administration just seemed to get everything wrong, or just don't care about the rules, the regulations, the legislation that they ought to be governed by. And our second observation, my Straight Talk family, it is said that a journey starts with the first step. And this one man protest may be the signal of things to come. We saw this one-man protest in Bastia today. By Reginald Francis with his placard, which is self-explanatory as well. Local business must be allowed to thrive. Yes, it seems since we've had this new Labour government, local businesses have been continuously under attack. And the placard here reads, YSG, I wonder if that's the Solicitor General, right, talk of negotiations, stall the case, then change the rules before the talks. Why give out lands that are already legally occupied by the St. Kitts Marine Works under contract? You can't just say Public Works Department said and call it justice. Where are the deals for locals? All we hear is foreigners getting concessions. And recall sometime earlier, Straight Talk reported the threat of eviction, which the disgraced Attorney General denied, but we actually showed you the communication. But we'll follow this story as well because Reginald Francis comes from what we call the bowels of Labour. So Labour are really attacking their own, my Straight Talk family. We'll see how far this one goes. And our third observation relates to some developments within the region. And in fact, a communication sent from the U.S. to the government of Grenada, to wit, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Grenada, that confirmed that the U.S. government made a formal request for temporary installation of radar equipment and other military assets at the Maurice Bishop International Airport. There is no confirmation, no public indication that Grenada has formally consented or signed off on the deployment of these assets. The terms, duration, scope, legal framework, cost, oversight of any possible agreement have not been made public. The government continues to treat the matter as under review, according to the latest we got out of Grenada. We know that the CARICOM heads, I believe, had a meeting recently, and there was not the usual unanimity when it comes to these decisions. Recall as well that the new Prime Minister of Grenada, of Trinidad and Tobago, beg your pardon, Kamla Prasad, seemed to have, quote-unquote, broke ranks. The usual oneness, if I can use that term, as it relates to peace here in the Caribbean. But Prime Minister Gaston Brown is on record saying this, my Straight Talk family.
Antigua and Barbuda is determining that this hemisphere should remain a zone of peace, and we have no interest getting involved in any geopolitical spats with anyone. We are friends of all, and we're not going to get involved or entertain any form of military action or hostility against any other nation.
And that's Gaston Brown. Prior to that, remember, my Straight Dog family, that Kamla Prasad said this at the United Nations General Assembly.
Across Latin America and the Caribbean, homicides range from 20 to more than 60 per 100,000. President Trump's comments on the effects on countries of relentless narco and human trafficking, about organized crime, illegal immigration are correct. Countries are not only defined by geographical borders, but also by cultural identities, religious beliefs, ethnic compositions, and, of course, legal structures. Because of the recent increased protections at the U.S. southern border, illegal migration of drug cartels and criminal gangs have been rerouted in the Eastern Caribbean, which is where my country is located. Therefore, Trinidad and Tobago is particularly grateful for the U.S. military presence in the Southern Caribbean.
That came from Kamla Prasad Besessa. And she left the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, and went to Washington, and we got this report as well.
Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Besessa and her delegation have departed New York City for Washington, D.C., where they will meet with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Tuesday. Speaking en route to D.C., the Prime Minister said there are several matters up for discussion. The Prime Minister underscored the strategic importance of the upcoming meetings, describing the trip as particularly significant. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Sean Sobers, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Barry Padarat, and Minister of Legal Affairs Saddam Hussein are among the delegation heading to Washington.
When we get there, several areas of mutual interest to be discussed. Chief among those have to do with national security and safety. That's probably one on our discussion list. Thereafter, energy security is vital to us as well, with respect to the hydrocarbon resources that lie in our waters and on land. We have also secured Minister Sobers a meeting with the
United States Trade Representative Office.
United States Trade Representative Office, in addition to Secretary Rubio, the trade aspect of it, where we want to discuss the tariffs to see how best we can make that work for us.
But meantime, my Straight Talk family, and he's born political scientist, an academic commentator and activist, Dr. David Hines, brought a very interesting perspective on the situation in Grenada and the wider Caribbean. And as I said, very interesting.
Is Grenada and the Caribbean, are we sovereign states? And I think the question is that we are sovereign on paper, we are sovereign in theory, but in practice, most of the time, we are not sovereign. And this is a time when that fragile sovereignty that Professor Grenade and others like myself talked about, that fragile sovereignty is now being tested in a most brutal way. Because to ask a question of Grenada, can I put military equipment in your country, is really to put Grenada between a rock and a hard place, or two hard places. Because if Grenada were to say yes, then it would be violating its own principles, starting with emancipation in 1838, coming through to independence in the mid-20th century, and coming forward, that we have always fought for a widening of the sovereignty space. And if we were to say yes, we would be violating that long struggle for sovereignty. And if we say no, then we put ourselves, small nations, put ourselves on the chopping block, because clearly the United States and other large countries have the wherewithal to beat us into submission.
And yes, my Straight Talk family, that's the topic being discussed all over, and in particular here in St. Kitts and Nevis, with regard to our sovereignty. So our sovereignty is being threatened from so many different angles. But Straight Talk will continue to follow these developments, but those are our observations for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, which I mentioned I've titled Our Land, Our Legacy. Time for another uprising? And my beloved people of St. Kitts and Nevis in particular, 90 years ago, our ancestors stood up and stood tall in the cane fields with bare hands and weary backs. They rose up in 1935, not just against exploitation, but against a system designed to depress, or suppress rather, to devalue, and to rob them of their dignity, to rob them of their rights and their land. And that uprising, although started at Buckley's, did not end at Buckley's estate. It rode right across the Caribbean and forced colonial powers to stop and to take note. It birthed the Moyne Commission. It planted the seeds of adult suffrage, of democracy, and the dream of self-governance. Today, 90 years later, we ask again, is it time for another uprising? Because once again, our land, our inheritance, our identity, our future is under threat. A new kind of colonizer has arrived. Not with whip and chains, but with checkbooks and charm. A Belgian Bitcoin billionaire named Olivier Janssens, with no track record of doing anything except to increase his wealth, unknown to our history, disconnected from our culture, and uninterested in our people. But he has been given access to 2,400 acres of precious land on the southeast coast. And this project, arrogantly called destiny, it is not our destiny. It is a dispossession, a land grab, an economic colonization, and a betrayal of the struggle that brought us where we are today. The premier then exposed his plans to bring 10,000 foreigners to settle into a land of just over 13,000 people. And he told us with a measure of pride that these 7,000 people would be among us. 7 to 10,000, he said, would join us. Then he writes, my Street Dog family, he writes a post on his Facebook page to justify the foreign invasion of Nevis. Imagine that. Tries to justify the foreign invasion of Nevis and writes this post on his Facebook page. Read it for yourselves, my Straight Dog family. And I'm sure you'll end up like me, being insulted. Have you read it, my Straight Dog family? Let's read it together then. Bermuda is 21 square miles with 65,000 people. And this is just today. Bermuda is one of the richest places in the world per capita. St. Kitts Nevis is 104 square miles with 51,000 people. 2025 is the first time St. Kitts Nevis got to 50,000 since 1960. We cannot achieve sustainability without people. And my Straight Talk family, Brantley's cockeyed rationale was supported by the former head of the CBI, who took the ridiculous beyond the sublime, stating that St. Kitts needs a population of 250,000 people. Do you believe that, my Straight Dog family? St. Kitts needs a population of 250,000 people. The argument that St. Kitts needs a population of 250,000 people, my Straight Dog family, as absurd as it can get. But he supports Brantley. And Brantley's patronizing response, excellent analysis. What could be so excellent about this absurd analysis? Because the argument that St. Kitts Nevis needs a population of 250,000 to truly prosper and that Singapore, a country smaller than Dominica, but with over 5 million people or more, proves this point, to be honest. I repeat, that argument quickly moves from the ridiculous to the sublime. And I'll tell you why. Because population size alone does not determine success. If it did, countries with massive populations would be always thriving. And we know that's not the case. What truly matters is how we manage what we have, and not how many people we can fit on an island. Population size is not everything. Singapore's 5 million plus people are part of a highly urbanized, educated and efficient economy. It's not about the raw number, but how the population is empowered. Bermuda's tiny population, about 60,000, shows you that you don't need millions to be rich. That's what the Bermuda population tells us. But Bermuda's focus is on quality over quantity, not on population size. So as we look to the future of St. Kitts Nevis, let's stop chasing population figures as a silver bullet. No need to bring all these Nigerians. Instead, let us focus on building strong institutions, investing in our people, and creating a climate of opportunity, transparency, and innovation, my people. Because in the end, it is not how big we are. It is how well we lead, how well we manage, and how well we build. And we know what is said about Mark Brantley and money and capital projects. All those $1 million he got from Tim. Imagine the scale of what is happening. This is not development. This is replacement. This land they claim is undeveloped has been the economic backbone for generations. Land that parents mortgage to send their children to school. Some became teachers. Some became doctors. Some became lawyers like Brantley, who will never understand that. Because, as someone told me, he's a national welfare child. Mark Brantley is a national welfare child. Yes, Brantley receives scholarships from primary school, to high school, to university. Scholarships from TDC and from Social Security. The same Social Security that as Premier he allowed the NIA to continue to rape, sent him to school on a scholarship. The first Social Security Board scholarship. He's a national welfare child. Land may not have concrete or steel, but it has legacy, pride, and potential. And you must get a grip of that, Mark Brantley. And this young man from Nevis put it succinctly for you.
I'm one of the people that has benefited from VATCHA going and making sure that we have lands. Both of my grandparents, they don't have any big shiny degree education, but they've had lands, and those lands have protected our families and help us to get to a better place. So, you know, that's just part of that history lesson. And with saying that, I want to now jump to where we are today, because I think that the sustainable zones are somewhat of a threat to that same idea that VATCHA had for us. Because what he did ensured that our people had a way to move from poverty into something else. What we are seeing now is persons, billionaires, people who can probably buy St. and Nevis if they want to, if we really wanted to sell the place. Come in here and purchase in large quantities of land and be given special rights to operate.
And yes, a young man explained this to the daft Mark Brantley. And yet, as Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley dares to say it is useless because nothing was built on the south coast in 100 years. Nonsense.
What is the future that we're trying to create for our people? Now some say, oh, the lands on the south of Nevis, keep them in local hands. I understand that sentiment. But do we also accept that if we keep them in local hands, as is suggested, that they have been barren and vacant and abandoned for 100 years, and they will equally be so barren and vacant and abandoned for the next 100 years?
But we could ask him, my straight dog family, ask Mark Brantley, has the government built the necessary roads, the water lines, the infrastructure? No. Because Mark Brantley and his NIA never intended to empower the people of Nevis, but they were waiting to sell the people out. Let's just be clear. Land that feeds the dreams of our children is not idle land. It is sacred land. But what do we see? A hasty law, the Special Sustainable Zone Authorization Act number 21 of 2025, rammed through the Parliament without public consultation, written not in the language of the people, but in the dialect of developers and foreign investors. No community input, no environmental study, no land use policy, no transparency, and no respect. And it got worse, because we learned that the sole realtor for this land transfer is none other than the Premier's own wife, Mark or Sharon Mama Brantley. And he confessed this. He had no choice, my straight dog family, when he told us this.
Mr. Premier, you said the government ain't involved in selling no land in the south. Here my question to you. Are you as the Premier, or anybody in your family involved in purchasing or selling land in the south?
The short answer is no. My wife is a realtor, and she has been doing some work for the developers in calling landowners, and asking them if they're minded to sell their land to the developers.
Yes, my straight dog family. If that isn't a textbook case of conflict of interest, nepotism, and corruption, what is? But that is not all. The foreign architect of this scheme hires a consultant, Dr. Andreas Baumgartner, who defines special economic zones for us. And his definition, clear. Geographically delimited zones or islands within their own rules and regulations. And if he went further, listen to Baumgartner, who is engaged by Olivier Johnson's My Straight Dog family. And Baumgartner said this for the whole world to hear, my straight dog family.
Special economic zones, as defined by the United Nations, are geographically delimited areas within which governments facilitate industrial activity through fiscal and regulatory incentives and infrastructure support. If you look at this definition, there are three core elements. And if you only take one thing from this lecture, it's those three elements. It's a geographically delimited zone. You could speak of it as an island within the country. It has got its own set of rules and regulations. And why does it have that? To serve the purposes of a specific economic objectives. That's what we're talking about. A zone set up to achieve business objectives.
And what does that mean if you read again? Not just a development, my people, but a separate jurisdiction within a country. What does that mean for sovereignty? What does that mean for governance? And what does that mean for national security? Are we selling land? Or are we selling the soul of Nevis? And what about St. Kitts? The silence is deafening, but the people are watching. Speculation grows about St. Kitts Nevis becoming a bridge to Africa, a plan to bring thousands of Nigerians to settle in our country. It started with visa-free access or visa-free waiver. But we ask the question, who will be next? Will Connery be next? Will the Southeast Peninsula be handed over again? Will Sandy Point or Old Road or Cairn become special economic zones, where Kittitians become second-class citizens in their own homeland? And while our land is being carved out and sold, what is the Prime Minister doing? He made reference to the Buckley's Uprising. Very interesting perspective he brought my straight dog family. And he said this, just recently, he said this.
Recently, I shared a stage with Hilary Beckles. You might know who he is. Vice Chancellor of UWI, correct? A historian, one of the most recognized historians, not just in the Caribbean region, but across the world, especially how he chronicles the history of the Caribbean. And this is a recognized historian. He's an academic. He's also an activist because he, in a sense, is the leader of the reparation movement in the Caribbean and throughout the world. He has just been named, I think, president of the United Nations University. And in a speech that he gave, he said that the liberation movement or the march toward independence started right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And the date he gave, and I don't think that he is wrong, he said that everything started in 1934 and culminated right here in 1935. So here we have a prolific historian as Sir Hilary Beckles crediting the Buckley's Uprising as the starting point for the liberation and the colonization across the whole world.
But my straight dog family, yes, he went back into history. But yes, Terence Michael Drew is still confused. Remember, he told us 3 years ago he'll take us to a referendum on becoming a republic. But then he ran to Buckingham Palace to meet the king. He then boasts of economic diversification and launched the Tabasco pepper project. And now offers a pepper sauce export to Africa as policy. The Premier Brantley, on the other hand, promised a new bypass road from Long Point to Gingerland. Let's not forget that, my Straight Dog family. We always have to remind of that. He promised that bypass road. He then abandoned this plan like a forgotten campaign poster. And while the land is being auctioned, our sovereignty eroded, and our future sold, he holds stakeholder meetings. But the majority has said it clear. We are not for sale. Our land is not for sale. Our identity is not for sale. So what is the way forward, my people? Let us not just resist. Let us reclaim, and we must begin now to demand full transparency. Every agreement, every land deal, every economic zone plan must be published and must receive the full consent of the people to move forward. We must enact a moratorium on all land transfers to foreign entities, especially in those large tracts. No land should be sold or leased until a national land use policy is established by law. Launch a full investigation into conflicts of interest. And we call for an independent inquiry into the role of Premier Brantley, his wife Sharon Mama Brantley, and all public officials involved in private gain from the Destiny Project. And we must establish a People's Commission on Land and Sovereignty. Let the people, farmers, youth, elders, lawyers, environmentalists decide the future of our land. Let's mobilize in every village and community, organize town halls, student fora, media campaigns. This is just not a Nevis issue. It is a national crisis. And we must petition for the repeal of the Special Sustainable Zone Authorization Act. This law is a backdoor to recolonization. It must be repealed immediately. Let us channel the spirit of the Buckley's uprising into the atmosphere right now. Let us remember Robert Bradshaw, who in 1975 reclaimed the sugar lands, not for profit, but for the people. We now must do the same. Not in violence, but in organized, united, righteous action. The Caribbean is watching us closely. The world is watching us. And the youth, our future, are watching us most of all. Let it not be said that we were the generation who stood aside while our land was stolen. Let it be said that we were the generation that rose up, that reclaimed our destiny from destiny, who refused to be colonized again, and who told the world, we are not a zone, we are a nation. We are not tenants, we are the heirs of this land. Long live St. Kitts and Nevis. Long live the people. The time is now. Let's rise up, my Straight Dog family. The Destiny Project raises questions of governance, transparency, and public accountability, particularly in the context of Nevis's recent political and development history. The breach of public trust, the risk of land alienation, and the lack of due diligence is what appears to be an opaque and high-stakes development scheme. A destiny or deception? There's a breach of trust in Nevis's most controversial development scheme in its history. The Destiny Project, promoted as a futuristic special economic zone that would supposedly transform Nevis, now stands not as a symbol of progress, but as a glaring example of political recklessness and a deep breach of public trust. At the center of this project is Olivia Janssens, a man with no verifiable development track record beyond his own self-declared entrepreneurial claims. With his money, he has managed to assemble a glittering array of academic and legal minds, none of whom are accountable to the people of Nevis. Professors Tom Bell and Eric Luna, Dr. Andres Baumgartner, and others may offer their prestige and their expertise, but they are outsiders with no stake in Nevis or in Nevis's long-term well-being. The comments of Dr. Baumgartner continue to boggle the minds of right-thinking citizens after hearing his views on SECs. The last one, he asks who to trust, my straight dog family.
Don't forget, you do have us coming there and telling them you have to do things fundamentally different. You have to let some strange foreigners, parentheses colonialists, take over part of your country. And we have heard many of those concerns, reactions. When you go there and say, oh, we need those special regimes. Oh, yeah, that's so painful. It's so complicated. This will be seen as selling out our country. You know, I'll be giving up sovereignty. Oh, gosh. The press will be hostile to this. Well, yeah, probably. How do we know who to trust when trying something new? And those are fair concerns.
Fair concerns, my straight dog family. How do we know who to trust with this new approach in St. Kitts and Nevis? And these are legitimate concerns. Let's be clear. No amount of international consultants can substitute for responsible local leadership. How is it possible that the same Nevis Island Administration, the NIA, that has failed to complete the Alexandra Hospital wing in over 8 years, now believes it is equipped to oversee and negotiate a multi-billion-dollar SEZ project? The disconnect between ambition and administrative competence is staggering. Where is the due diligence? What's most alarming is not just the scale of the project, but the total absence of comprehensive public due diligence. No environmental impact assessments, no independent feasibility studies, no open legal framework for the long-term protection of the Nevisian land, no political risk analysis. The NIA has bypassed basic governance principles in favor of backroom dealings and post-facto monitoring, which is code for too late. In what democratic society, my straight dog family, is a project of this magnitude pushed forward without a proper social, political, technological, legal, environmental, and economic evaluation? What democratic society? Worse yet, and it must be repeated, that the only realtor, the only real estate agent in this project, known to be engaged in the project, is a wife, Sharon Mama Brantley, the wife of the Premier himself. An outrageous conflict of interest that undermines any claim of integrity. The appearance and likely reality of personal enrichment from this project is not just unethical, it is a direct betrayal of the people of Nevis. Guardrails, not free reins. Land in Nevis is more than geography. It is heritage, identity, and sovereignty. The Destiny Project that threatens to alienate Nevisian land from future generations with no legal safeguards ensuring that it will serve the people's interests in perpetuity. Without clear legislation, my straight dog family, my people, and constitutional protections, we risk handing over Nevision land to private foreign control in exchange for vague promises of prosperity. This is not economic development. It is economic surrender. Accountability is not optional. The Premier's obsession with pushing this project forward, despite growing public concern and woeful lack of administrative readiness, suggests not vision, but desperation. The optics are terrible. A billionaire developer with no track record, a cabinet with a poor performance history, and a family member profiting from real estate deals tied to thousands of acres of land. That is not progress. That's political malpractice. Where is the opposition? Where is the civil society? This is the moment for all patriotic divisions and petitions, regardless of political affiliation, to demand a moratorium on the Destiny Project, transparent public consultations with the publication of all related documents, legally binding guarantees that land will not be alienated and that any benefits will be equitably distributed. An investigation, a full-blown investigation into conflicts of interest involving elected officials and their relatives. If the Destiny Project continues in its current form, it will not be remembered as the future of Nevision prosperity, but as the beginning of its economic colonization under the guise of development. Let Nevision decide what their destiny will be, not billionaires, not consultants, and certainly not politicians who've already broken the people's trust. In 90 years, after Buckley's in 1935, and 50 years after Bradshaw's acquisition in 1975, we have a pertinent question, my street dog family, coming from one of Johnson's Olivier's consultants.
Don't forget, you do have us coming there and telling them you have to do things fundamentally different. You have to let some strange foreigners, parentheses colonialists, take over part of your country. And we have heard many of those concerns, reactions. When you go there and say, oh, we need those special regimes. Oh, yeah, that's so painful. It's so complicated. This will be seen as selling out our country. I'll be giving up sovereignty. Oh, gosh. The press will be hostile to this. Well, yeah, probably. How do we know who to trust when trying something new? And those are fair concerns.
Fair concerns, my street dog family. Yes, there are fair concerns. Yes, my street dog family, there are fair concerns. And we ask the pertinent question: our land, our legacy. Time for another uprising? That's my story tonight, my street dog family, and I'm not going to change it. I'll open the lines as I solicit your views on whether it's time for another uprising. But I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. And just my straight dog family, the things we say and or do, let's try and ensure that they will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and or doing those things, let's strive to build a kinder, gentler, St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, my Straight Talk family, I go to the lines and I take my first call. It's 17 past the 9 o'clock hour. Caller, you live.
Good night, Mr. Liverd.
Good night, my dear. That voice sounds familiar.
When I liberate myself, I liberate others.
Others, yes.
If you don't speak out, no one will do it for you.
No one will do it for you, yes.
Injustice makes the rules.
Justice makes the rules.
And courage breaks them.
Courage breaks them.
I repeat, when I deliberate myself, I will deliberate others. If you don't speak out, no one will. Injustice makes the rules and courage breaks them. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. That's our usual quotation coming from our usual first caller. Thank you, caller. The lines are open, my Straight Talk family. And we are asking a question pertaining to our land, our legacy. Because you would have recognized that things here in St. Kitts are done the quote-unquote unconventional way. We pass legislation, then we come to consult with the people. We accept the proposal, then it's taken forever to consult with the people. You've had stakeholder meetings, you claim. And the first one you claim you had with the business community. That's what you told us. You told us, my Straight Talk family, that you met with the business community. We very well believe you. We very well believe you when you said this, my Straight Talk family. You said this to us. Yes, this is what you said to us. Your first meeting with the business community. I've met with the people. You met with the business community, you said.
And that at the end of the day, where the rubber meets the road, it's really a very simple question. Do we want development? And if the answer to that is yes, is this kind of development a development that can benefit us? Very simple. All this emotion and all this chatter that people have, it's just neither here nor there. And so, we have started out as a government because on the 25th of August, when I spoke publicly on the matter, I made a commitment that we will have a series of public engagements. We have started out with a series of stakeholder engagements. And our first one was with the business community. We met at the Four Seasons with the business community for 3 hours. And we shared information with that community about the proposed development on the south coast of Nevis.
Yes, Mr. Straight Talk family. Then he had his second meeting.
Our second meeting was with the parliamentary opposition. We invited the two members of parliament who sit opposite to come to the cabinet and to meet with the cabinet, and we shared with them all the information that we had on this project. Questions were asked, questions were answered. The meeting was a very cordial meeting. The leader of NRP left that meeting and put out some statement which left all of us scratching our heads.
Yes, my Straight Talk family. Then he had his third meeting. His third meeting went like this.
Yesterday morning, we would have met at the Four Seasons with the church leaders. I'm told that the invitation went out to the Evangelical Association, the Christian Council, and to the Seventh-day Adventists. I confess I don't recall seeing anyone from the Seventh-day Adventist faith, but the other two organizations were very well represented. And again, we had a good meeting. Questions were asked. Some of the members there, you don't need to light no candle to look for them. You know what their politics is. But that didn't matter to us. We engaged. And we engaged respectfully. There were one or two, I thought, unfortunate outbursts. Which were unnecessary because nobody come there to fight. But at the end of the day, I tried to be Christ-like.
Imagine Randy trying to be Christ-like. And then he hasn't spoken to the people. But he said this.
Tomorrow, God willing, we will again be meeting with, this time, the tourism stakeholders, hotels, taxi drivers, and the stakeholders who are in this important tourism undertaking, seeing that this proposed project is going to be largely tourism related. We then have other meetings that are scheduled. We'll be meeting with the youth. We will be meeting with our contractors and our heavy equipment operators. And then the following week, Monday, 27th of October, we will be having a town hall meeting for the general public at the Anglican Church Hall in Charlestown at 7 p.m.
My straight talk family, this email reads, I want to join with the numerous well-wishers to thank Dr. Daly of the NRP and Straight Talk for the excellent work they have done initially with respect to this insidious and underhand deal called Destiny. Let's go to the lines. My Straight Talk family caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk?
Yes, Mr. Straight Talk. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
Yes.
How are you, my brother?
I am peaceful, my brother from another mother.
Yes, man, it's him here. I'm listening to you. Mr. Straight Talk, I went to New York yesterday. Saturday, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, that they're putting up all these giant buildings in New York, in the Bronx there.
Uh-huh.
But one thing come from it, that they says that the people sell them out their lands cheap because they said that they was going to do this and do that, and now they put up these massive buildings there, and the people say that they rob them. So the people are calling back for it, said no, they have to come do something about it. And whether the mayor or whoever they gone to. But the people are making hells with them because they sell out their land cheap, and now this is the structure they put. So these people are going to be making millions when you will be only getting a little thousands. And this is what's going to happen to Nevis if Nevis don't watch itself. Understand? Because it happening in the Bronx, it got happening in Nevis. So I think you really sounding the alarm. But you already says that Mama Grantley gonna make all those millions from that. So you see how much millions they make, and these people gonna be selling the land, and they're not even gonna get a good 300,000 for it. I don't know. Something is very sad with what's going on there in Nevis.
Very sad.
One thing you say now, but wait, Straight Up, he says that he was going to have a meeting October. When he says the 27th?
Yes, 27th. Yes, that's for the people. Yes.
So which means that it is still online to happen.
Well,
that's going to be your homework to let me know if he did pull it off the 27.
Well, he's meeting the people. I mean, first, he should meet the people first, but he left them for last, you know?
Look, he can't meet if he's going to meet the people first, that's going to be his downfall. So you have to try to go all the way around because, once he go there and he meet the people going to call him down.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen. The people going to say, no, we had enough of this thing. You hear what they say? It's the people, as some are saying, leave the land for generation to come. But this is what Douglas do. Douglas sell off all that land, and now look who will get fit. The promise that he said he was going to do, he never do them. And I see him thing here say, he going to fix the Alexander Hospital. That's the first thing he said. They always come with the 9 egg per penny and not even 1 out in 9 good.
What is it, 9 egg per penny?
9 egg per penny, and not even 1 out in 9 good. My boy, my father said that. He said, anytime you see a man come with a 9 egg per penny, run for your life because not even 1 out in 9 gone good. And watch and see if that man, you hear how much thousand you're going to bring? So you fit all them people into Nevis, that means you're going to tilt him over to this man. This man said they put in too much people in one of them states, and if they put all the people in the state, they're going to tilt over. I can't remember which one of them state, but it's there on record that they're going to tilt over the state. Mr. Stratak, I think I said enough for tonight, because I don't know. We really have to do something about Papa Grantley and Mama Grantley. This is our work. They're going down the wrong train.
Yes.
So the people of Nevis better pull up them sacks. Do not go the back way. If they go the back way, they're going to sorry all the rest days of their life. Mr. Stratak, thank you for having me share my piece about what's going on here in the Bronx. So it's there for everybody to see. And that's the same thing going to happen to the people of Nevis because the $250,000 going to done sooner or later. What's $250,000? By the time you go buy a pound of mackerel, put $20-something. You see what I'm talking? Mr. Stratak, I'll see you when I see you. Yes. Abracadabra. Ditto.
Abracadabra, my brother. That's my. Let's go back to the lines. I'll call you live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good night, Brother Patches. Good night,
sir.
Good night. And good night to all the listeners, far and near. And this is political activist Winston Welcome from the New York end, but in St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, Brother Patches, and to the people of Nevis. I am wondering if the people of St. Kitts and Nevis are paying attention to what's going on in their country. One could imagine if they have any communicative devices to listen to the news, whether it's local or a call from a person in the foreign, to make them aware of what is going on under their eyes lid. No, let's get real. It takes money to make money. And these billionaires and trillionaires, they have the money. And their money is not used but to get something at the next level. And they pray. And our leaders, these people who we put to be leaders, to represent us and guide us, and being bribed and bluffed for chump change. This is like back in Africa when you use slaves to enslave its own people. And when it come around Mark Brantley, and those two, include his wife, try to be a liaison or to go between to encourage these sort of unacceptable behavior of selling out their land. And right before their faces, they will see what gigantic profit, gigantic, long live, while these people don't have anything because they have betrayed themselves. They have betrayed their country. The people who sold their lands, they are treasonous too. Because Papa Bratcher knew what he was doing and he forced these things. And these people go and violate that. And when that happens, should it happen? I don't think it will happen because I believe the people will repeal and there will be a revolution. Now let's say this. It shall not be. It shouldn't be. And with Mark Brantley and all who are involved, which I call them the Judases, they have committed and they continue to be treasonous, and they will be stopped with the penalty for treasonous, for treason is death. Ain't nothing, ain't no other verdict but death to these people. We have to eradicate them with a revolution to being treasonous and commit treason. Last but not least, this full push ahead. Mark Brantley, I believe, has made deals without any transparency and they cannot pull back because I believe they have received money for this deal. But my brother, I will take that back. You are not my brother. I don't know you. But listen, I am against you for this from now until the end. We will get you. Thank you for hearing me. I will come back again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. I must commend Dr. Daly and Straight Talk for the excellent job that they continue to do, or they have done in bringing this insidious SCZ plot to light, calculated by CCM and Labour, intentionally to drop like a nuclear bomb on the Federation. I join with the numerous persons in saying thank you both for a well done job. Continue to fight. Thank you. I'm humbled. My dear brother, caller, you're live. Hello, caller. That's the
Mr. Patrick, good night.
How is the Bible, man? Good night. I just recognize the voice.
You just recognize me voice, eh?
Yes. You just woke up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Psalm 24.
Psalm 24.
They said the earth is the Lord and they that dwell in it thereof.
Yes.
Now, hear me. Here is the word of God, say, Mr. Patrick. Every born again believer who live on this planet, while you make Jesus your Lord and personal Savior, God is your Father, and whatever God has for you, the heart is His, and He put you here to live until the time comes. So you say, occupy until He comes. No, Mr. Patches. All we have to do, claim what God belongs to us. And so, I remember when I used to work at Forgiveness Development Corporation, and he come back to me. I am going to claim what belongs to me. And no devil in hell is going to take what belongs to me. And so I am telling somebody tonight, while you believe in God and you make Jesus as the Lord and personal Savior, you have nothing to fear.
I believe you. I believe you, Bible man. But can I ask you a question? And since you started a little sermonette, on me, right? Tonight we're talking about the land and our legacy. You heard that, right? You heard the issues about you heard the issues about the land.
Yeah.
All right. Probably could even put it in the Bible context. And the question we're asking tonight, if there should be another uprising to keep our lands.
Well, Mr. Patrick, the land belongs to God and it belongs to us.
Right, yes.
And we hear what the word of God says in Proverbs chapter 18. It says, death and life in the power of the tongue. And you have going back in Second Chronicles, when Jehoshaphat the three enemies come back against Jehoshaphat, and they come to take away the land, to take away everything what they got then. Because it happened in the Bible. And so now we have to stand up and claim what belongs to us.
Okay.
Nobody is supposed to come in and take our inheritance. Our inheritance is us. So if we don't claim it and stand up and say, no, you cannot get our inheritance. This is what the Bible says now. Okay. If you cannot get our inheritance, no. And so that is what I am saying tonight. Okay. Now God, see.
Okay, I got you. I like that perspective. Thanks a lot, Mr. Bible man.
You like it?
Yes, I like it. Okay?
Last thing I'm going to tell you.
Please.
When God tells Jehoshaphat, you need not to fight in this battle. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord your God. He turn back around. He tell them the Israelites you see now, you won't see them no more. So who wants to put God, and why you put God in the forefront? Okay. They're gonna disappear.
I got you.
See you tonight, Mr. Kaja. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Bible man. I wanna thank this caller for holding. Caller, forgive me. I had you holding for a while. Trust you're still there. Are you there, caller?
Yes, Patches. Good evening, man.
Oh, that's you, my brother. I'm sorry to keep you holding.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Not at all, man. No problem. Good night to you and the listeners home and abroad. Let me start with the Prime Minister. As he went on that rant about that, what do you call that person? Beckles?
Yeah.
A historian. Yeah. Undoubtedly, Beckles and all the rest historians are going to also realize that under this administration in St. Kitts and Nevis, and on both islands, they're going to be remembered for passing this SSD law and giving the green light to give away and sell out all the lands of St. Kitts and Nevis, which our first national hero has fought so diligently to recapture back from the crown. Thanks to that young man that stood up in that town hall meeting there, that pointed out that to this Labour administration, they will be held accountable for this move. At this time in St. Kitts and Nevis history, definitely it's a big changing point. This is where Like I say it every night, the politicians of the day, they are sellouts. Nothing short of that. They're selling out the place, they don't have no integrity, and they're not representing the people that put them there. On the Nevis end, the premier, he will be held responsible as well. No one can convince me that there is no conflict of interest in this situation with these lands on the southeast side of Nevis. If this project coming to Nevis was so important, they have other realtor companies on the island. They got other lawyers on the island. It all started with the CBI money coming in, influx into the vast area. That money was so big and so large, it can blanket the whole world. St. Kitts Nevis should be in tip-top shape from all that money they collected. But now, as a result of their mismanaging the money, the people are going to pay. They're going to take it out on us. Here we have the Labour government on St. Kitts bragging in Parliament the other day that they finally given certificate of deeds titles to those persons who were squatting on lands in St. Kitts for years. Yet still, we have this SSZ law, federal law, that's going to give away chunks of our lands. No comparison between those people who finally got those deeds and the acreage that they done given out in both islands already, and they're planning to do more of that. The premier says he wanted people who got the citizenship already, the economic citizens. He wants those citizens to come into St. Kitts and Nevis. When that happens, Patches, the locals will be overran. It's an economic takeover that's happening right in front of our eyes right now in St. Kitts and Nevis. And if we don't stand up now, we are going to lose it all. In terms of that museum that they're putting up down there in St. Kitts, or attempting to, or planning to, the Museum of Love, guess what? Back to the Prime Minister again.
Yes.
He said that the independent movement started at the Buckley's Uprising, but yet still, after 90 years, we can't get a Buckley's Uprising art. And thanks to the youth Kalanji, who has been asking for Pan-African museum, both of those, we cannot get that to signify our struggle, our roots, and our culture and our tradition. And I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot, Patches.
Thank you very much, my brother, for your intervention. We go straight back to the lines, and I'll say thank you, caller, for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Whitebird. Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, my dear. Good evening.
How are you this evening? How are your family?
We are peaceful. Yourself?
Okay. You know who's speaking to you?
Yes, I recognize the voice each time.
Yes. Yes. You don't take on Mark Bluntly with whatever he doing and going on with. Nobody should take him on, because I don't believe this evening that he got heart to face those vision over here. When election come, God spare our life, they shall never put him back inside it. Where the hell he craving for? Where he craving for? Huh? If he ain't got love in his heart for the division them, if he don't have the greater God in his stomach tonight, when God call him home, let he carry all the money where he crave for and not about fear share. Let he carry all the land them where he sell over there from the division them. Eh? They should never want and put him back inside there. He's a gutless premier. That's where he be. And this government here for think it. Dr. Joanny Cabal, them all of them are boy finance. They're going inside there to string people with the land. Up to now, they can't do nothing with the price control. He say, you got nothing over it. Up to now, they can't fix the market down there where the trailer mash up. I'm sending out this message here. I'm sending out this message here to Jeffrey. Let it go and overhaul the deck here over one side of the kitchen need to fix. And the next thing again, Mr. Loybord, I pray and hope that when did they come for election, all who got ears tonight, let them hear. Never ever put back in Dr. Joe and the cabal them back inside there. Because there is not for people, they have the love in the heart for people. There's all for themselves and the family and the friend them. They don't have any love for people in this country here. 5 years to come. They're coming back home to the people again to ask them what? To give them another chance? They should slap them in the face when they come in front of the gate and they come in front of them. Because everybody waiting and hoping for him and he cabal them. Whenever they go election soon, you know. My people in St. Kitts and Nevis election just one the corner, you know. Are you get ready? Because the same time that's in Timothy go come back on and hard the backside.
Okay.
And the next thing again, when they got host of assembly, the N1 Timothy get up and talk. The speaker and canvas. And they need to stop it. Timothy gone in inside there to do the people and walk. The people of the constituency walk and put him in there. And they need to listen to the man.
Okay.
They need to stop it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Timothy is a big man. I hope he pay double salary now.
Oh, okay.
I hope he pay double salary.
Okay.
Because Timothy pay double salary even he do hard the campaign, the way the thing campaign wherever the going to go on.
Okay,
the pandemic.
Thanks a lot,
Timothy
my dear. Thanks a lot.
pay the money.
Thanks a lot, my dear. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your always passionate interventions. We go back to the lines. Okay, I've missed that caller. Let's take this email in the meanwhile. Mr. Astafan, let us not be hypocritical with the legal profession or bar association. You know that only exists in name on paper. They're a bunch of selfish bigots and cowards and only have strength for certain individuals like Cato, Vera, Craig, and the late Agatha, but would never take action against the Attorney General, who broke the law in high daylight, not even to issue a public statement of condemnation for his inappropriate behavior of transgression. You claim that they are well educated and can do plenty in their power to uplift the citizens. That will never happen. Their main goal is to enrich themselves as fast and quick as possible, inappropriately, off the backs of their clients. Some years ago, at the opening of the law term, the Madam Chief Justice issued a strong worded warning against them after receiving numerous complaints from clients of their unethical, immoral, and depraved behavior, which fell on deaf ears because their acts of malpractice and dishonesty have exacerbated. You need to renew your call, Mr. Asafan, for the resignation of the AG. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening, my dear. Sounds like...
How are you? How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself? I see those dimples now.
Oh, I'm giving God thanks for every day that I get up. Giving him thanks for that.
You all do.
I think I'm going to shift a little bit from the thing or whatnot.
What you want?
Yeah, okay, I'm telling you. When you go in the house of assembly, we can hear and we can see what goes on in there. Nobody had to bring up nothing to tell us. We could see and we could hear. The reason why I tell you that because we have a new announcement going around every week from the speaker. We don't need no announcement. We could see and we could hear. I would like to know why when this government here in power, the House of Assembly operates like that. I remember I hear that the second Prime Minister he said, we all are hags. And we really seeing the hags them now, but the National Assembly. All the thing they need up there now is some mud for them to wash their skin. Because the way how up they be, they are real hags. That is not non-National Assembly at all. Every time this government gets in power, they always get the worst speaker in this federation here. The disgrace speakers them always in the house. I wonder why. He send them there, they taking the taxpayers' money to go in there to represent everybody, not half. You don't represent half because they give you a job. Represent everybody the same way. You represent them who give you a job. You represent the rest, not half. Because the how that speaker there operates in the house of we can show she wanted to be part. The girl from Nevis doing an excellent job better than her. I do not know what is her problem, but she really needs to get out in because she is not working. If you listen to her, she sounds like someone say something on top of the road. I do not know why she has to operate like that. And we cannot stand that with taxpayers' money. What she getting? Let she give everybody equal rights and justice. Not half. I get justice and in the half catching hell. Oh no. We ain't gonna stand for that. To the next part, up in arms, in Nevis. If you listen and hear how Judas operating up there, it seems to me like they don't get the people their money, so they can't pay back the money, so they're holding it, so they're going to do everything in the power to get those land. That it seems to me like they don't get paid. That's how it seems to me. Thank you. Have a pleasant night.
Yes, have a pleasant night as well, my dear. I want to thank you, as always, for your intervention. And yes, you're right. They are attempting to really ram this down the throats of divisions and by extension petitions. But I believe the people ought to rise up. Mr. Premier, reads this email. It does not look nor sound good in the eyes of the public. And no matter how much you skip and jump around the case, where your wife is involved financially with the developers for the lands in Nevis, it involved a measure of corrupt practices, insider trading, unprincipled and unscrupulous behavior in the office of a premier. That is an indisputable fact. In another country, inevitably, you would have to resign. That is so obvious. Caller, thank you for holding your live.
Good evening, Mr. Lywood.
And how are you, sir?
Not bad, and you?
I am peaceful. Yes.
Oh, that's great, man. Tonight you started your dissertation with talking about population densities and that sort of thing, and it right away something clicked in my mind. About a week ago, I was listening to a BBC program, not a news item. They were talking about life in different countries. And they spent some time speaking about Nigeria because you mentioned, and I did hear separately that we're thinking of bringing a large number of Nigerians to our federation. Yeah, you remember that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And they were mentioning that in Nigeria, there are about 20 separate Muslim terrorist groups operating. And they're terrorizing mainly Christians. If you can remember some years ago, there had a lot of instances where school children, mainly young girls, hundreds of school children were being kidnapped and that kind of thing, and never heard of or seen again. And they believe that some of them were coming from these Muslim terrorist groups that are operating on motorcycles and that sort of thing. And I was just concerned that when we're bringing in large volumes of persons are planning to, do we know who we are bringing into our country? What research are we doing to find out these people's backgrounds and what effect it could have if the persons were negative to our societies or with religions, etc.? What effects that could have on our country, economically, tourist-wise, that sort of thing, from a long-term point of view. And I wish persons would not just fancy having 1 million people in just a little over, total over just about 100 square miles of land, but let us continue to live with our 51,320 and slightly greater because our population will increase, but there's a reasonable rate. We don't have to suddenly grow it by thousands and thousands of persons whose cultural differences might have some influence on our standard of living. Please consider that. Have a good night, Patches.
Have a good night as well. Very interesting perspective. And, Mark Brantley tried to support his case to bring 10,000 people to increase the population. And he cited Bermuda, as you can glean from your screen there. Right? But Bermuda, yes, is a country that has just around 60,000 or more in terms of its population. And it's one of the richest places on earth per capita. And he's right. But it's not because of its size, but because of its stable government, sound fiscal policies, and a well-regulated financial sector that attracts global investors. Bermuda focuses on quality, not on quantity. And for Singapore, yes, it's densely populated as well. So when I wanted to use a name, but let me be respectful. When Martin, something we shouldn't really, or some name we shouldn't even really promote and straight up. When we can talk about Singapore, yes, it's densely populated, but its success stems from visionary leadership, excellent education, rule of law, and strategic investment in technology and trade. It's not the number of people that made Singapore great. It's what they did with those people. So population size means nothing. Singapore's 5 million plus people are part of a highly urbanized, educated, and efficient economy. So it's not about the raw number, but how the population is empowered. Bermuda's tiny population shows you that you don't need millions to be rich, but you need to focus on quality over quantity. Mark Brantley and Mr. Martin. So as we look at the future or to the future of St. Kitts and Nevis, let's just stop chasing population figures as a silver bullet, I said earlier. No need to bring all these Nigerians. We won't stand for that. So let's just focus on building strong institutions, investing in our people, and creating a climate of opportunity, transparency, and innovation. Because in the end, it's not how big we are, it's how well we lead, manage, and build. Mark Brantley is not a good manager. Let's dispose of my remaining emails, my Straight Dog family. It's 3 past the 10 o'clock hour. I'm giving you back a little time, which I deprived you of. Patches Modo. Why are we having all these white people from Belgium and Northern Ireland in my business? I will deal with Mr. Morley, the Irishman. I was vexed with July when he takes the house from him and puts him in a hotel from over Jacta. July was right to do it. Patch is a man fast and like to be in things. I was over Jacta when he pushed his nose in a friend of mine business. But my friend was in a good mood that night and he let it slide. Patches took it with the case they brought against him, and Smith and Lucifer made sure he was on the case. But they objected to him and they say he is a bias, and Morley had to go. And Tuckett had a fair trial and won his rap. What is wrong with this government? Bringing cattle skin to beat cattle. Good night, my brother, and much respect. Reads this email. This other email reads: the disgraceful, haughty, and condescending disrespect meted out by the Attorney General towards Mrs. Shani Brooks, the leader of PAM, at last Thursday night meeting at Nema was uncalled for and must be condemned. The AG was very rude and out of his place with such bombastic answer to Shani's question. The tenor and tone of his language was demonstrative of an educated idiot. Virtually what this joker was saying to Shani: whatever questions you have to ask now, you should have seen to it that Sean had attended the parliament when the bill was debated and make a contribution, for he is under your command. What foolishness he's talking. Your idiotic statement was no relevance, or has no relevance whatsoever, for neither Sean nor Timothy presence would have made any difference if the real true Labour leaders were around like Fitzroy Brandt, and you attempt to answer him like that. Certainly, he would have referred to you as a white scale-off cockroach. Cut your speed down, Attorney General. You're going too fast. Your diabolical behavior does not in any way resemble your parents, Don and Charles. These are two humble, eminent, and distinguished persons residing in the Federation that are living exemplary lives. I beseech you not to tarnish their good reputation. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live.
Mr. Patches, greetings. How are you?
Greetings, my brother. I'm peaceful. Yourself?
I'm very good, listening to your continuous positive program. That's very good of you. Whenever conflict arises between material and spiritual values, the conscience plays an important role. And anyone who suffers from a guilty conscience is never free from his problem until he makes peace with his conscience. Mr. Patches, first time in Mark Brantley political life, he's caught between two hard stones. One, as a husband, and two, as a premier. So far, he continued playing a role as a husband, defending the project. But he hasn't started yet to play the role as a premier, to be transparent with us as a people. He hasn't started this to show us the due diligence that is needed for we to get the grips at the project. First, the bill was passed without being, let's say, having the people involved. That was the first error, I think, because you should always show your people that type of respect. And two, I feel, Mr. Patches, if this project was viewed as a government project, let's say, like the example, the bypass road over the peninsula, I feel it would have been more profitable to the country on a whole. Instead of putting it into the hands of private, this is where you find the colonialization comes in. And I feel also we haven't learned any new development from the Christopher Harbour project, because when the bill was passed for the prison project, Mr. Brantley was in the yard. He didn't have himself involved in the debate. I feel then, when he had involved himself in the debate then, he will get a little experience to know how to channel this type of project. And all this because self-ego. Somebody would say, if this was elsewhere, Mr. Brantley would have got to resign. So why we can't get the same ruling that he resigned? Because it's clear conflict of interest. So why we must see something that is deemed wrong? How dear it would be that he would resign. But even though we see it wrong, we ain't see that he should resign. Mr. Libert, our country, things going good, I must say. The debate is getting good, and he left to see the role of the people in this country. We just say a lot that we are educated, we are Christian-minded, so we will see this confrontation that we are facing, how we will really overcome it. You continue to be strong and stay healthy. God bless.
God bless you as well, my dear brother. I do wish you the same. Like many rich people with options, read this email. They can't understand the argument of the poor man. Unfortunately, we here in the Caribbean, especially in St. Kitts and Nevis, have empowered our leaders who use and abuse us, basically rape us, then punish us for it. After they reap all they can from the country, they can go on a yacht and live in the best countries around the world because they have the money to do so. Reads this email. And interestingly, you raise that matter about the yacht. And we've asked the question on several occasions to Mark Brantley, that is. And we asked Brantley if the yacht that he was on in Monaco, I think is the right pronunciation, is this yacht owned by Olivier Janssens? Mark Brantley, you get a look at our program Straight Talk. We want you to tell the country and the world definitively this yacht you are regaling on, if you can use the term, in Monaco, I think it was 2 years ago, in 2023. Is this yacht belonging to Olivier Janssens? Just give us a yes or a no. That will suffice, Mr. Brantley. But let's take this, make this our final email, and perhaps I'll take one more call after this before we wrap. If I can guide a caller by the rules of brevity. Rather than be part of a Nevis sellout, Mark should engage with people who understand land management project development without land alienation. Reads this brief email. Caller, you're live. I'm going to guide you by the rules of brevity.
Thank you again. This is the voice of Winston. Welcome again. Something just struck me, and I'm about to say it. Mark Brantley, of all that being said, you have committed and you have involved in conflict of interest. And for that reason, you should be resigned and you should be forced out immediately, because your interest is self-rich, self-aggrandized, and you have betrayed the people of Nevis. Also, you are treasonous. And sum up all those things. For those reasons, resign. Leave the place of the government, the NIA, until further notice. Thank you, Patches.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your understanding. And as we wind down tonight's program in my Straight Talk family, we have made the point that we need to focus on building strong institutions, investing in our people, and creating a climate of opportunity, transparency, and innovation. Let me take this call before I continue. Caller, you're live. Caller?
For total love and greeting, Brother Patches.
Yes, my brother.
Blessed night today. How do you do?
Peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Give thanks for life, and give thanks for joy, and give thanks for peace and harmony. I give him thanks for the joy of the love of the Almighty, so I'm thankful for the love of life. Now, I listen to your program tonight, and I'm very giving thanks for what you emphasize in your briefing towards your thesis, and to see at the aspect that you raise. I just like to state this here. Basically, it's very important that we find where we're standing as a people in the premises of the state, the status, what we are seeing going among the political spectrum, and the aspect of total annihilation of our people rights. Now, I will state this here generally, I said, and I will say it again. Until we educate people about centralization of power, because you outlined that thinkers and Nevis do not need a special economical zone in your thesis and your discussion to some of the clip you did play. But I will just like to state generally, if we're not really fully opposing against centralization of power, we're not opposing anything. It's time now we educate people what centralization of power really mean and what the value it really bring out to the economical powers of these people we call as investors. And if we not really serious about it, it makes no sense we pursue going into deals and agreement what is violating our institutional rights as a suggestion of the eyes of thinkers and Nevis and other parts of the world, because you have in our role is crazy idea talking about they could come with development to create a value for betterment of the nation and the people. But when you look at it, the economical value don't serve to help steer our people in our countries and the territories that they are living. And these are troubling times. You talk about Singapore, but how much of the people in Singapore really get the valuation? Even you talk about the academia, but it's still, the status quo is still hard to see our the people in Singapore, especially where the common level of man and woman live. So don't get the value treatment where you're talking about in this economical diversity. So I'm glad to see that you bring out these matters, but you're not emphasizing the greatness of what we are facing as a people. We not come here to look at no political style, because this time now we come to stand as a nationalist and as not patriotism. We dealing with nationalists. This patriotism is a sellout. I mean, in for that. It's time now we revolutionize the people in how we can develop and move forward and not just come to push something because we could get a dollar. It's fire burn all wickedness wherever Babylon is. You have a blessed night. Yes, thanks.
Give thanks, my brother Ras Aya. Yes, you mentioned Singapore, but I also mentioned too that Bermuda's tiny population, yes, tiny, of just a little over 60,000. It demonstrates to us that you don't need millions to be rich. What you need is a focus on quality over quantity. So let's imagine, my Straight Talk family, as we wrap, the scale of what's happening in Nevis. That's not development. It is replacement. The land they claim is undeveloped. But it has been the economic backbone for generations for some people. Land that parents mortgage to send their children to school. Some became teachers, some became doctors, some became lawyers, just like Mark Brantley. But he will never understand that. Because like I said before, a friend of mine told me that Mark Brantley is a national welfare child. And when I asked what he meant, he said, Brantley receives scholarships from primary school to secondary school to university. He got scholarships from TDC, from the Social Security Board. He was the first recipient of the Social Security Board scholarship. Yet, as the Premier of Nevis, he allowed the NIA to rape the Social Security Board. So yes, Mark Brantley, the land may not have been developed because you did not put in infrastructure. But parents, many parents, use the land for other reasons and other purposes. So the land may not have had concrete or steel poured on it, but it has a legacy, pride, and potential. And this young man, Hamilton from Nevis, summed it up well. I couldn't play his entire presentation, but this excerpt means quite a lot. He said this.
I'm one of the people that has benefited from Bratcher going and making sure that we have lands. Both of my grandparents, they don't have any big shiny degree or education, but they've had lands, and those lands have protected our families and help us to get to a better place. So, you know, that's just part of that history lesson. And with saying that, I want to now jump to where we are today, because I think that the sustainable zones are somewhat of a threat to that same idea that Bratcher had for us. Because what he did ensured that our people had a way to move from poverty into something else. What we are seeing now is persons, billionaires, people who can probably buy St. Kitts and Nevis if they want, if we really wanted to sell the place, come in here and purchasing large quantities of land and be given special rights to operate.
And yes, a land rather, that feeds the dreams of our children cannot be considered idle land. It is sacred land. But what do we see? You want to justify your hastily passed law in the Parliament, the Special Sustainable Zone Authorization Act, which you rammed through Parliament without public consultation. It was written not in the language of the people, but in the dialect of developers and foreign investors. No community input, no environmental study, no land use policy, no transparency, no respect. And it got worse. As you told us that the sole realtor, the only real estate agent used in this project for this land transfer, is none other than your wife, Mark Brantley, Sharon Mama Brantley. If that is not a textbook case of conflict of interest, if that is not a textbook case of nepotism, if that is not a textbook case of corruption, then tell me what is. But that is not all. Dr. Andreas Baumgartner told us about the geographically limited zones or islands with their own rules. That's what we must expect. A country in a country. But what does that mean for sovereignty, for governance, for national security? Are we selling land? Or are we selling the soul of Nevis? And what about St. Kitts? That silence is deafening. And speculation grows about St. Kitts Nevis becoming a bridge to Africa. A plan to bring thousands of Nigerian settlers in our country. And while our land is being carved out and sold, what is the Prime Minister doing? Tyrus Michael Drew is confused. The Premier Brantley, on the other hand, promised a new bypass road from Long Point to Gingerland. He abandoned this plan like a forgotten campaign poster. And while the land is being auctioned, our sovereignty eroded, and our future sold, he starts to hold meetings. But the majority will tell him, we are not for sale. Our land is not for sale. Our identity is not for sale. There's a way forward. Full transparency. A moratorium on all transfers to foreign entities. Launch a full investigation into conflict of interest. We call for an independent inquiry into the role of the Premier Brantley, his wife Sharon Mama Brantley, and all public officials involved in private gain from the Destiny Project. We will establish a People's Commission on Land and Sovereignty. Mobilize every village and community. Petition for the repeal of the Special Sustainable Zone Authorization Act. Because this law is a backdoor to recolonization, and it must be repealed immediately. Let us channel the spirit of the bucklers uprising into the atmosphere right now. Let us remember Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, who in 1975 reclaimed the sugar lands, not for profit, but for the people. We now must do the same. No violence, but in organized, united, righteous action. The Caribbean is watching. The world is watching, and the youth, our future, are watching us most of all. It is not said we were the generation who stood aside while our land was stolen. Let us rise up. Refuse to be colonized again. Because we are not a zone. We are a nation. We are not tenants. We are the heirs of this land. Long live St. Kitts and Nevis. Long live the people. The time is now. Let's rise up, my Straight Talk family. The Destiny Project raises serious questions of governance, transparency, and public accountability. Who can we trust? I repeat the words of one of the consultants hired by the developer himself, Dr. Andreas Baumgartner. Who can we trust? He said this. I'll leave with you, my Street Dog family.
Don't forget, you do have us coming there and telling them you have to do things fundamentally different. You have to let some strange foreigners, parentheses colonialists, take over part of your country. And we have heard many of those concerns, reactions. When you go there and say, oh, we need those special regimes. Oh, yeah, that's so painful. It's so complicated. This will be seen as selling out our country. I'll be giving up sovereignty. Oh, gosh. The press will be hostile to this. Well, yeah, probably. How do we know who to trust when trying something new? And those are fair concerns.
Fair concerns, my Shazak family. Who to trust is a question we ask as we leave you. The Destiny Project is not about our destiny. It's about deception. Deception, my Straight Dog family. That's what it's about. We have to be careful. We have to be careful, my Straight Dog family. It promoted as a futuristic special economic zone that will supposedly transform Nevis. It now stands not as a symbol of progress, but as a glaring example of political recklessness and a deep breach of public trust. And at the center of this project is Olivier Janssens, a man with no verifiable development track record beyond his self-declared entrepreneurial claims. With his money, he managed to assemble a glittering array of academics and legal minds. But my Street Dog family, no amount of international consultants can substitute for responsible local leadership. None. My Street Dog family. And that is fact. The same Nevis Island administration that has failed to complete the Alexandria Hospital wing, the Manda track, now believes it's equipped to oversee and negotiate a multi-billion-dollar SEZ project. How could that be? What sort of rationale that could be. But my Straight Talk family, accountability is not an option. Political malpractice is what we are seeing. We need an investigation into conflicts of interest, I repeat. And if the Destiny Project continues in its current form, it will not be remembered as the future of division and prosperity, but as the beginning of its economic colonization under the guise of development. It's 90 years after the Bucklers Uprising in 1935, and 50 years after Bradshaw's acquisition of the Sugarlands in 1975. And we ask the pertinent question: our land, our legacy, time for another uprising? And that's my soul tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I want to thank you, the many listeners, those who called, those who sent emails, those who just viewed or listened, whatever medium, YouTube, Facebook, Alexa. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Our quotation, we must remember: when I liberate myself, I will liberate others. If you don't speak out, no one will do it for you. Injustice makes the rules, and courage breaks them. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for